History books skip this part. When people think of medieval torture devices, they imagine dark dungeons filled with horrible machines used every day. But the truth is more complicated and in some cases very surprising. First, many famous torture devices were rarely used or not used at all. The Iron Maiden, for example, is often shown as a medieval killing machine. But most historians agree it was created much later, mainly to scare people or attract visitors. It became famous because fear spreads faster than facts. Real medieval torture was usually much simpler and psychological. Prisoners were often threatened more than hurt. Just showing the tools was enough to force a confession. Pain was expensive, risky, and sometimes illegal. Another truth people don't talk about is that torture was controlled by law. Judges had rules. Torture could only last a certain time. Doctors were sometimes present, not to save lives, but to make sure the victim didn't die too soon. Death meant no confession, and no confession meant no case. Devices like the rack or thumb screws were real, but they weren't common. Most people were punished publicly instead, whipped, shamed, or locked up where everyone could see them. Fear worked better when the crowd was watching. Here's the biggest twist. Medieval torture wasn't about truth. It was about power and control. Confessions didn't have to be true. They just had to end the process. So the truth is this. Medieval torture wasn't everywhere, but when it was used, it wasn't to find justice. It was to remind people who was in charge and what would happen if you disobeyed.